Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're at the spot, the place, where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. How are you today? You're back at the spot, your favorite place on the planet, where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. We're going to Queensland, Australia. We're going to meet with David MacGregor. David is a survivor of leukemia, and should I say in remission? I don't know. Am I saying that correctly?
Medically, they determined me to be in remission,
All
but
right.
I would like to take that so much further that I feel that I've been cured already.
All right. Well, see, that's what it is. It's that mindset mastery brains. How many of us are afraid of the big C? Everybody. It's not a death sentence now. There's a lot of science, technology, medication, research, and it's helping people maybe aren't in a tender, in a tender situation, and they may not be in recovery or in remission. But how do they deal with that? How do they support themselves? How do they support their families? How do they trust the information that they're getting? So we're going to talk to David about that and a whole lot more. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that you're in a better space right now. Tell my brains a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
Um, I've been on quite a journey, I'll say for myself. Um, and in a journey as far as getting into that remission space or cure, the journey of the mindset, the journey of the body, and taking everything to the point where whether you have achieved what you want to achieve or where you want to go with whatever it is, you can see it, hear it, and feel it right now.
Mm, mm, mm. I've been doing some really deep meditations at night and listening to them while I sleep. And I wake up and I know that my subconscious mind has been penetrated. Um, but it's believing that and it's having faith because, again, you have that endless echo chamber of negativity running around in in your head. You're listening to what other people say. You're doing Dr. Google where you're thinking you can diagnose yourself. When you got the diagnosis that something was seriously wrong with you, where did your head go?
Me, like everybody else, you have a moment of doubt, a moment of question, what's going on and where to from here. And the most important question for myself was, what's important to me right now? And that was a moment of a reflection that my family, and as you put it, my faith in myself, God, the universe, however you want to put that, that I'm going to get through this and to be in a much better place because I'm going through this for a reason.
Can you go back a little bit further? What were some of the signs and symptoms that you experienced that you knew that something was seriously wrong?
Um, I had a bit of fatigue and some bruising on my body that I really wasn't quite sure what was going on. And I needed to get some medical attention. I didn't see the urgency at the time, like everybody else. I put that off a little bit. I was busy at work, working 60 or 70 hours a week. We were running a small property development business, a mindset coaching business as well, and just busy doing like so many other people would.
So you already had uh, a foot in the door of mindset mastery. You already understood that, again, there's a lot that we can do if we psychologically structure our information based upon facts. Based, brains, I told myself that a long time ago. When situations happen, don't overthink it. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but that what if will put you in a loop that you will never get out of. Base the information on your tests, your consultation with your doctor, how you're feeling inside. We know when something's wrong. People don't have to tell us, they don't have to look at us and say, something's going on. Why do we ignore it? Why do you think that we are, instead of being proactive, we wait and become reactive?
To me, it's more about fear for most people. It's the questioning of, is everything okay? Am I okay? Where is this going to take me? I'm comfortable where I am, and people are afraid of change. But to go back to what you were just saying, most times your first thought is the right one and run with it from there. If you're asking yourself, where to from here, or what's best for me right now, the first thing that comes to mind is usually a signal for you to do what you need to do and follow through.
So many men do not go to the doctor. Can you read my lips here? Um, it's a fear. I don't know what it is. They don't like to be poked and prodded. Well, neither do women. But let me tell you, if I stump my toe and it don't get better in 3 days, I'm going to the ER because that toe could be broke. There could be an infection, and one thing leads to another. We need to be proactive. If you have the insurance, if you have the benefits, go. You are no good to your family, to your friends, or to yourself if you are not in optimum health. And again, if you catch things early, I have a dear friend right now, and I just, send her love and light every day. Her spouse is going through fourth stage prostate cancer, and he is teetering back and forth on what type of treatment to get. Do I do chemo? Do I have everything extracted? What encouragement, what would you say to him, David? And I know everybody's different, but what would you say to him to just kind of be able to settle in and get comfortable with making a decision?
It's so much easier when you make a decision to move forward with the faith that things are going to be okay. It may not be the journey that you pictured, that you thought it would be, but like I said before, everything is happening for a reason, and you're being guided to where you need to go. That next step forward, there will always be somebody there to support you. Don't be afraid to reach out for help, because I know from my journey, the people that reached out to help me were not always the ones that I thought it would be. And they
Mm.
come the woodwork from everywhere to support you once you say, I need help.
I want to talk to you just a little bit more about from a man's perspective. Um, you don't have to be considered weak. From the onset, boys are taught not to cry. Cry. Go through the whole metamorphosis because it is a change. You know, um, the great Deion Sanders, I just send him love every day because he just had his complete bladder removed. And he's living his life out loud because he's telling people and showing people what is going on and what you're going through. And if he can be a blessing to someone, if he can be a messenger to someone, it's so important. And I know that it is scary, but as my mother used to say, you should be more scared about what you don't know than what you do know. So when men go to the doctor and they get certain diagnoses, they don't like certain tests. I get that too. What would you encourage and say to a person about being proactive and going and getting your regular examinations?
If I hadn't have had that blood test, I would not have known and I would not be here. So being that support for your family that you talked about, being in that zone, that place of love and connection with your family just would not have happened if I had not done that test. It And the other thing that comes up for me while you're talking about, I talk to so many people about my leukemia journey and the pain that I went through. Yes, I had a lower intestine infection, and I was on all sorts of magic painkillers at the time. And I reflect on that and think nothing I will ever go through will ever be as bad as that. And I encourage my clients and people that I talk to reflect on times in their lives when they have already been through things that will be far worse than you will ever do for a medical examination.
Mm. No pain, no gain. Um, Everybody's not going to know what option, what treatment. How did you decide on making a decision for your treatment?
My treatment, I waited for some guidance from the doctors themselves to start with, and that took a week after the initial blood tests for them to do genetic testing to take it from there. But I also believe that I'd been on quite a journey already, and I had tools that I could use for my mindset and for my body to take them along with that journey to make it much easier and so much more beneficial.
Dealing with the family, not only did you have your responsibility to yourself, but you have a wife and children. And you have to consider them long term because the first thing people will assume is, okay, I'm not going to survive this. So now what's going to happen to my wife and kids? That also adds an additional layer of stress to your healing, to your recovery, and to your decision making. Tell us how it impacted your family a little bit.
Um, it was, I'll say, very impactful, and they were quite concerned. But I'd like to step back to what we talked about previously about the mindset stuff that I had already done and the impact that that had had on my family, to the point where when we told our three children, it wasn't a matter of if I would survive, it was a matter of they believed going through the process, doing what we needed to do, the treatment, being supported around you. From there, they believed that I would get through that and be so much better. They were of the same frame. Yes, there were tears, there were emotions, we were upset, and it was that roller coaster ride that everybody goes on. But they truly believed that everything was going to be okay.
Right? We walk by faith and not by sight. I have run across situations and people that the doctor says, oh, unfortunately, you have 3 months to live, and the people have lived 5 years. That is why they call it practicing medicine. They do the very best that they can, and everyone is going to be different. And there are going to be people that are not going to survive this journey. We're all organic, we all have an expiration date. What do you say to the person that is facing the alternative and they know that there's no cure? How do you support them?
I believe that there's a bigger result for everything. There's a lesson for everything that we go through. Those people that are facing an end of life decision, there's a bigger journey for them, and there is a reason why this is happening. And it's sad for us emotionally and for the family and everything that goes on, but it's a really hard question that you're asking.
And
I
I get it. No, I get it. And my thing is, I don't know. Again, I'm not the authoritarian on everything, but I do say that it's not how you die, it's how you live.
Yes.
So that you take it every moment, because it's not promised to you. You don't have to have cancer. You could get stung by a bee and get an infection and die. So it doesn't have to be that, but to understand and to make peace. to make peace with your life where it is. If there's conversations that you need to have that you didn't have, if there are relationships that you want to bond with, if there are relationships that you want to expunge, if you need to get your will in order, get your paperwork in order, but also know that you have to be comfortable because everybody doesn't believe in the hereafter. Everybody doesn't believe in God. And I get that. But you better believe in something because it's going down and you don't want to be leaving people in a quandary. And I think that's what's important too. And to love yourself, make peace and love yourself the very best that you can. Because life is short and that could be 100 years. That's still short. So tell us about when you got the news that you were in remission.
That it was like all my Christmases came at once. It
Woo!
just um it was a second chance at life. But I will say that wasn't the first time that I'd had those emotions. It was also when I got a phone call from my eldest brother to say that he was a 100% match for my bone marrow transplant.
Oh, wow.
It's it people call it jubilation, but the excitement, the joy, the tears, everything that goes around all those emotions, it's a moment you will never forget.
Um, Tell us a little bit about a bone marrow transplant. People really don't understand what that is. I know now it's, excuse me, a lot more common than it used to be. I know that there are a lot of people now doing stem cell replacement therapy. So
Yes.
there are some options. So tell us a little bit about the bone marrow transplant and in short, what that looks like.
For myself here in Australia, it is like a blood transfusion. So my brother had some injections in his stomach over a few days, and that actually brings the bone marrow out of his bones into his body, and it circulates around with his blood. And they just like doing a blood donation. He sat there in the chair and they took millions and millions of stem cells out for that bone marrow donation. And within hours, I just had it as a blood transfusion.
Really? Now,
Yes,
see there's my ignorance rising to the surface. I'm thinking you got to do some invasive surgery as to what's going to go on and that you're going to have to be now when you're dealing with stem cells, correct me if I'm wrong, but the body has to be dormant in a way because you are really immune compromised, correct?
yes. The bit that I didn't cover there is that we have another lot of chemo to literally destroy your immune system. So to say you're immune compromised is probably an understatement. You're
Mm.
in there where you have no immunity at that time, but the doctors, the nurses, that all the medical stuff that goes on with that, they're there to protect you in that state, so to minimize any complications at all. It just kick
And to
up.
be a bone marrow transplant participant, again, David says that it is minimally invasive. You would do a blood test, and then they would do a blood test with you. They check your genomics, they take your DNA, they check all of your other vital signs, and then they would see if there is a match. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's as simple as that.
Brains, let's do it. Um, if it's that simple, it's not going to help. I mean, it's not going to hurt. It can't do anything but help. It's not like, again, kidney transplants. They're doing that. I have a friend that's on the list now to be a candidate for a kidney transplant, and they don't just wait for a match. What they do now is if I'm willing to donate my kidney, they will take one that's already there, allow you to use that, and then supplement or replace my kidney. And my friends told me that you can live with one kidney, um, and that you can do just fine. all kinds of organ transplants and donations can leave a legacy and help someone live a long life. And I get it. You know, a lot of folks here in America, especially in the black church, they say, "Oh Lord, hallelujah. I'm gonna go with what the Lord gave me. You ain't gonna take my eyes and my kidneys and my lungs and all that." Okay. And then you have to consider too some of the people that donate this stuff. Just think years ago, well, not even years ago, currently, people that are addicted to drugs, they go into these centers and they donate blood. And you think about other people that are not able to have top notch care, or people that have been on, again, drugs, alcohol, smoke, they abuse their body. What kind of testing do they give you after you've had one of these sessions to make sure that it's, again, working and that you're getting the optimum benefit of the treatment you received?
From the day that they give you the bone marrow transplant, I was required to stay very close to the hospital for 100 days. Twice a week, I'd be having blood tests done and I'd be talking with the doctor about those results for the blood test. But they were checking you over physically for things like that they call GVH, so graft versus host disease. So that's that rejection side of the bone marrow transplant. And they manage that with the medications and observations, just maintaining those levels so that the the grafting of that transplant happens smoothly. There's many times where they'll adjust the medication. It may be up, maybe down a little bit, but they slowly wean you off those medications so that you can live a much more normal life. And along the way, there was a test to make sure that it had actually taken. They're doing that genetic testing again and checking for my brother's DNA within me and how that's been taken into my body.
So your DNA composition and your genomics change after something like this, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So are you finding that you like to listen to classical music like your brother now? Are you finding yourself morphing more into him? What kind of things have you found that have changed for the good since you've been in remission?
For the good, for anything, I really haven't noticed a lot of change. I know they talk about people changing habits, whether that's food, whether liking this or liking that, and the only thing that's sort of coming to the surface over the last, and that's only the last few weeks that I've noticed, and I'm in about 3 weeks, I'm coming up 12 months since I had the bone marrow transplant, was that I'm not quite as much of a morning person. I'm sort of a little bit later now, and that's okay.
Absolutely. Now you take you don't have to work those 12, 14 hours. 8 is fine. If I can pay my bills and go on vacation and be with my family, 8 hours is fine. And it's a quality of life, brains. Okay? I always tell this story how I taught my husband a bad habit. Before he retired, I taught him how to call in sick. He would never call in sick that one. He'd have like 300 hours. And I was like, baby, if you retire, they're going to tax you on that. You're not going to get all of it. I said, and we could go on a weekend vacation, a long vacation. And he says, well, I don't know how to do it. I said, you pick up the phone and you say, hey, I won't be in today. It's a mental health day. You don't have to give a whole bunch of explanations, just a day of rest to sit there and binge on Netflix or maybe just sit in the backyard or go to the beach. You deserve that. I don't want someone looking over in your coffin and saying, oh my God, Betty was such a hard worker. She never took a day off. Who is that benefiting? You'll go into a corporation or a job and they'll say, Betty, you were really nice for the last 19 years, but I know you get your pension at 20, but we got to let you go. Things happen. You have to enjoy life. Go on a vacation. If it's nothing but to the next state and get in the car. Tell your kids you love them. Take off to go to their ballet recital. Take off to go to their baseball game. Your wife, take off and just find a babysitter and take her out and let her know how special she is. Do something for yourself. Take yourself to the movies. It's about being selfish. Being selfish. When you talk about mindset, David, a lot of people get stuck in a mindset because they are fixated on what's going on. Like I said, I've been having some real heavy meditations, and I told myself yesterday, I said, you know what, I'm gonna stop for a minute. It's okay because I'm feeling that I'm overcompensating. Sometimes, really, I mean, sometimes you can get too deep in it.
Yeah.
You can get obsessed with it. So you have to have a sense of balance. How do you keep yourself balanced?
I spend time in reflection of where I've been prior to the leukemia journey, while I was on, well, I'm still on it, can't say while I was on, while I'm on there, what I have achieved, and thinking about where I want to go with my life. And in those times, it is a time to sit and just think about those positive things, thinking about how I'm spreading my word by being on the Brains podcast, thinking about what I'm doing, what's most important now, how I'm showing up for my family, like you talked about, and some of the changes that I've made. We're more regularly having breakfast just somewhere nice, looking over the ocean. And once a week, I turn up to my wife's work with a bunch of flowers, just as a nice gesture.
Absolutely. And appreciation and gratitude. You got to praise the higher power through your circumstance, even if it's not bad. I mean, even if it is bad, because the things that hurt us are our best teachers. If David hadn't walked this walk and been through this journey, he would not have this testimony. And this is very true. Um, you have to take control over this first. If you take control over that, whatever happens, you will be able to adjust. I can't say get over. I'm not going to even kind of go there because I don't understand that. But David, what opted you to now dedicate your life to supporting others that are on this cancer journey?
I was always on, or should say for many years, been on the path of supporting others. But I feel now that I've been through this cancer journey, yes, I'm still on it and still not saying for the cancer, but I'm saying for the journey of rewiring my unconscious mind and changing those beliefs, what can be done, what can be achieved. There's so much more there that
Okay, so let's ask you some fun questions because we've done the deep stuff. Now, what is on your life list? What is it, a box that you have to tick?
for me, the next one, I've taken up professional speaking to spread this message. But the biggest one for that one in there is writing my book. I've been approached by so many people prior to the leukemia, and even now that my story is so much more powerful, that this year, or sorry, the next 12 months, there will be a new book coming out.
Wow. You say a new book. Do you have a previous book?
No, I don't. I would
Okay.
love to say I have, but no, I don't.
Well, again, there's a story there. And people are going to want to hear the humorous parts. They're going to want to hear the challenges. They're going to want to hear the hope. They're going to hear the faith. They're going to talk about the fun. I mean, what did you go through treatment and did you lose all your hair? What did you look like? And then what does it look like? And it grew back. There's a lot of things that people go through. The great people that you've met along the way. the people that dedicate their lives, the doctors, the nurses, the therapists, even the people in the hospital to change your sheets. There are people that care about you and love you, brains. And so I'm really hoping that you delve into that. Now, David, if you were a car of all things, what kind of car would you be and why?
I'd like to say um, one of the cars that we currently have is a Toyota Camry, and it's functional, it's practical, and it lasts forever.
Mm,
And they're
good.
the reason why I'm saying that.
Absolutely. My husband was in a car accident in a Toyota Camry, mine, and he was rear-ended pretty bad. And I tell you that the cage that they have built in those cars saved his life. So Toyota, shout out to you. Great car. If you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be?
That's an interesting question. I honestly don't know. I'd like to say a toaster, but I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
It's something you use every day. It's something that's functional again and that lasts forever.
Well, and maybe if you pop it and you put it in there and it's in there too long, the toast still gets crispy, but you can scrape off the burnt part. So that's good. That is good. I think that I want to be a garbage can. A garbage can? Why a garbage can? Because it's a place that you dispose of the things that no longer serve you. It's a place where you're able to recycle. It's something that you take out often and regularly. People say a garbage can. Oh, I don't know if you guys have seen the latest garbage cans, but these things are truly an appliance. If you had an opportunity to go back to the past, stay here in the present, project to the future, where do you see yourself landing, David?
I'm so looking forward to my future, but being mindful of the present. I can see as part of my journey, when I talked about before that I was in so much pain and I'd had the strong painkillers, there was a moment there where life scared me. There was things that were going on in my mind. But when I changed that to a point where I took control of what was going on there, and I talk about a moment where I could see myself as a blood cell running through my body, repairing it.
Mm, mm, mm,
Straight after that, I had so many visions of what life will be like.
mm.
I don't want to say could, life will be like.
That's right.
And there was a place where we were doing retreats for people on that journey. There was seeing that book coming out. There was me speaking on stage for people, helping them, serving them to the best of my ability with all the tools that have been given to me.
Yeah, Brains, he had a revelation. Okay. And he took hold to it. He paid attention to it and he's acting on it. And that's what you have to do in all your situations. Acknowledge it, address it, and try to resolve it. The only person that you're hurting and you're lying to yourself, you're lying to yourself. You're not lying to me. You know, I encourage my friend's husband. I really do. I know it's scary, but it's worse not doing anything. And that's giving up, you know. And again, it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. But I'm betting on you. Thank you so much for being here, David. Please tell my brains how to get in contact with you. I'd love for them to follow you on social media. We're waiting for the book. When the book comes out, you're going to come back and share that with us and some excerpts of that, but also the encouragement. And if they're looking for speakers globally, anywhere, okay, he's feeling good now. He can get on a plane and come here to the US. We'd love to see you. Tell us how to get in contact with you.
The best contact is my email at hello@mymindsetmagic.com.au, or reach out to me on my Facebook or Instagram page, both personally and the My Mindset Magic Instagram page. questions.
Well, we're going to put all of your contact information there in the back because we want people to follow you. Brains, if you are going through not just leukemia, but if you're going through um, cancer, again, it is not a death sentence right now. Things have evolved immensely. There are tons of options, treatments. Ask the questions. Try to have an advocate. You know, if you're not married, you've got a best friend, you've got a neighbor, a support group, but don't go on this journey by yourself. There is somebody here to help you, that loves you, that wants you to, again, survive and be glorious on the other side. Thank you, Brains. Go in and love, like, share, and subscribe here on The Edge. Share this powerful information with someone that you know. Let it be something that will encourage you and be impactful and insightful. Thank you so much, David. You're the best. I'm so glad you're feeling better.
Thank you very much, April. Thank you to all the brains listening.
Bye, Brains. I love you. So, David, share with me some of the modalities that you use when working with your clients.
I come with a library, I will say. Um, I'm an NLP master practitioner, done right up to trainer's training level there. I'm a hypnotist, pranic healer, and I use all these techniques together to help rewire their unconscious mind to the point where they can see and believe and embody that future picture of where they want to take their life.
Perfect.